Good morning, VR fans, addicts, and everyone who's interested in making the purchase. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about VR's latest big release. If you have a general interest in VR news or a big interest in general gaming news, you may have heard of it. The game is called Population 1, and gameplay is what you're seeing right now on the screen. It released very recently on the 22nd of October, and it was developed by Big Box VR. It was first revealed in Gamescom 2018, and since then a lot has changed. For example, in the past, Big Box VR had the main goal of making this game look as beautiful as possible, while simultaneously maintaining high FPS numbers for maximum comfort. Ever since they made a deal with Oculus, they actually went the reverse route and tried to make it as optimized as possible for the Quest 2 hardware. This is why the game now looks worse than it did back in 2018. If you look at footage from back then, you could see enhanced lighting and reflections on many characters, as well as what seems to be higher detail models and foliage. The reason this downgrade occurred is because Oculus partnered with Big Box VR in order to bring this game to the Quest and make it a main selling point. Therefore, they needed to make sure it ran as smooth as possible on the hardware. But of course, they couldn't make the game an Oculus exclusive as they already promised that it wouldn't be, so their only other option was to bring the Quest optimized version to PC. And in order for crossplay to be fair, as much details as possible had to remain the same. And though this may be a big bummer for VR enthusiasts on PC, who are used to games as beautiful as Half-Life Alyx and Boneworks, it's actually a good thing for the future of VR, as the Quest 2 makes 2016 Vive level VR affordable for almost everyone, with the insanely unexpected entry price of $300. Facebook and Oculus threw the entire VR community for a loop, especially onlookers who never thought they could get their hands on the technology. It's undeniable that the Quest 2 has brought VR ownership past anything we'd ever expect it to go. Which brings us back to Population 1. The problem with every other Battle Royale VR game that released before Population 1, there simply wasn't enough people who were both interested in VR and interested in playing a Battle Royale. And with the exception of Rec Room, there wasn't actually that many very good Battle Royale games on VR, with a large majority of them seeming like Unity asset flips, with the main goal of making a quick buck rather than satisfying the VR Battle Royale itch. One of the main differences you notice between those games and Population 1 is the fact that there's actual time put into making the game, and an experienced team behind it that knows what they're doing. But there's more to say than just they put in effort to prove that Population 1 is actually special. One of the main differences between Population 1 and almost every single other VR shooter is the gunplay. Precisely two aspects, being reloading and aiming. Let's look at reloading first. If you play a game like Onward or Pavlov, you will often find reloading to be one of the most cumbersome features in the entire game. And though it may be realistic, unloading my mag, finding a new one, putting it in, and cocking the slide all in the heat of battle, and then realizing that you did one of the steps wrong, leading to your inevitable death, is a feeling that will make any gamer miss pressing the R key. Population 1 fixes this in a great way. Instead of doing multiple steps and having to learn how to reload each gun, Population 1 reduces reloading into 2 steps for every single gun. The first step is always putting in the bullets, and the second step is always cocking the slide, or closing the barrel if you're using a magnum or a shotgun. And though this may be a setback for realism, it's extremely intuitive for the Battle Royale gameplay style, which often includes the need for quick reloads. And in Population 1, you almost never die because you couldn't reload your gun, unlike games like Pavlov and Onward, where making the wrong hand movement while reloading your gun could result in your death, which allows players to focus on the more fun parts of gameplay such as gliding, climbing, and aiming. Which is a good segue into the next part of the video, the aiming. The aiming in Population 1 is unlike any other VR game. If you want to hit your shots in any other VR game, you're going to have to do one of two things. You can A, put the gun up to your face and aim down sights like any other video game, or B, have a really trained hipfire hand. And considering I don't live in the Wild West, this requires a lot more practice. And how does Population 1 fix this issue? By giving everyone a crosshair. You would think this is something that would get annoying and break immersion for the game, but surprisingly enough, it does the exact opposite. By giving players an aid in hitting their shots, without needing to do something cumbersome like move the gun to their face, Population 1 inadvertently removes some of the most annoying parts of using guns in real life. And if Population 1 decided to go the other route and keep the game as normal, then new players would find the difficulty of aiming too distracting to keep playing. This makes sure that new players and people who have been playing VR for a very long time aren't put too far apart on the skill scale. and everyone who jumps in has an equal chance at winning, at least for now until a meta is developed. And if a meta is ever developed, it'll probably have to do with the other features in the game, such as climbing, gliding, and building. And yes, I said building. Population 1 has a building system. And your first question when I say that is probably, is it similar to Fortnite's building? And to that, I say yes and no. And by yes, I mean it's a tile building system that allows you to place walls on an invisible grid in the map. And no, because Fortnite's building system includes tiles such as stairs and ramps, which aren't necessary in Population 1 because of the climbing mechanic. So in Population 1, you could build a huge wall and scale it just by climbing with your hands. And the game's meta probably won't evolve into huge build battles like Fortnite, considering how hard it is to climb and fight, and also how easy it is to escape battles by gliding away. You can tell that the maps were designed with climbing in mind, considering there's loot on top of huge windmills, as well as a huge tower in the middle that you can climb and glide off of to almost any destination in the map. These areas also serve as great vantage points for snipers. That would be if snipers in this game were any good. Well, they are extremely viable damage-wise, have really big insta-kill potential. But the problem lies in how you aim with the sniper. And it's also very strange considering they had a really good sniper system back in the day, but they seem to have changed it for the release. Back when the game was revealed in 2018, snipers had scopes on them with what seemed to be little monitors, and those monitors would contain a close-up of what you're aiming at as well as the reticle. For whatever reason, the system was changed to something a lot more intrusive and immersion breaking. If you lift a sniper slightly near your face, your entire view gets engulfed in black, and you are left with a small circle with the reticle and what you're aiming at. Which is strange considering they want to make the game as comfortable as possible in VR, and the first system they had going for aiming with snipers is actually one of the best you could do in VR. And yet they abandoned it for some of the worst VR sniper aiming I've ever seen. One theory I have as an explanation for this very poor choice is that the Oculus Quest 2 doesn't support the system they had in place for aiming with a sniper, and last minute they needed to change it to something which worked on every system, leaving us with the monstrosity we have to deal with today. The only thing I can hope for is a solution that brings us back to the place we started with, in the form of a future update and patch. When it comes to single player VR gaming, Boneworks will always be my go-to, but when it comes to multiplayer VR gaming, then Population 1 is going to be the game I always return to. And though the graphics may look a little funky today, I think any PC player can appreciate the higher frame rates. And the amount of variables in every game with the climbing, gliding, and building mechanics make it so you'll never know how your next match goes. And the aids deployed in the aiming department are forgived by the amount of ways you can outplay your opponents. There's something about seeing an opponent in the distance, building a tower, climbing it, and soaring over to them that will make it hard for Population 1 to lose its charm. And considering the amount of people being brought to VR thanks to the Quest, I don't think it will lose its player numbers either. The VR games library is one of the most dry in the entire gaming industry. So when a gem like this comes out of nowhere, it's a no-brainer to purchase it as a VR fan. With the exception of a few cash grabs and a Rec Room game mode, it's something that has never been done before. And its ease of use and unique mechanics make it so that you can probably convince anyone to get a Quest with it. And if you think you can, please do. VR could use the numbers. Anytime someone buys a VR headset, the chances of a AAA studio making a big budget VR game increases tremendously. And if Population 1 is just something to hold you over until something like that comes out, then it's still worth the purchase. Anyway, that's all I got to say for this video. If you liked the vid, please consider subbing and giving a like for the video. It lets the algorithm know that more people should be recommended this, so your sub alone could domino effect into what could become 1,000. Peace out and see you all in the next vid.